All right, counsel, be seated for a second. There's a couple things that I need to address. All right, number one, juror number 14.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I was informed first by the officer and then by my staff at the break that at some point during the cross-examination, you were able to see a document that was up on one of the prosecutor's screens. Is that an accurate statement?
I didn't see it, but I could not read it.
Right, okay. And you saw it directly, or was it reflected off one of the dividers?
Well, early on, I saw photographs.
Right.
I saw off the divider. Then subsequent, I saw a document when you were over the sidewalk.
Okay.
I saw the same document.
Yes, all right.
I could not read it.
All right, and I've instructed, it's unfortunate, this is COVID era, and you are seated where you are. Normally, you'd be in the box and you wouldn't be able to see anything. So I've instructed the prosecutors at sidebar when it was first brought to my attention to be very careful about that. So if there's something that's going to be shown to the witnesses on the screen, they'll pull that up, but otherwise, they shouldn't pull up documents. And if they happen to pull something up, just try not to look at it to the best of your ability, okay? And fine, that should handle the situation. Now, the other situation is I was informed by my staff that some of the jurors in the second row may have heard whispering coming from the gallery. That's completely unacceptable. Not that the jurors heard it, but there's whispering in the gallery. People in the gallery cannot talk about the case, especially because we have jurors in the first two rows. And members of the jury, thank you for bringing that to my staff's attention. If it persists, I will have my courtroom cleared. Do I make myself clear? Please do not discuss any aspect of the case. Do not speak about the case. Do not speak about anything that may distract our jurors when you are in the courtroom. If there is another complaint, I will exercise my authority and clear the courtroom except for the jurors. I don't want to have to do that. This is a public courtroom, a public trial. You have a right to be here, but the jurors have a right not to be distracted by whispering in the courtroom. They have to pay careful attention, and they have been throughout this trial, and I have no doubt they will continue to pay attention to what occurs in the courtroom from the witness stand, but they cannot be distracted by members of the public in the gallery. So please do not speak at all about the case. You should be saying nothing. Just listen to the testimony. And if you have comments, that's fine. I'm sure you all do. Share them outside the presence of the members of the jury. All right, thank you. All right, with that being said, can we bring in Mr. Goodwin, please, and we'll continue with the cross-examination. And members of the jury, please, if you hear anything, just bring it to my staff's attention or raise your hand, and I'll deal with it immediately. All right, thank you.
Goodwin.
Hold on, before we proceed, I'm sorry, can I see counsel at sidebar for one moment, please? The continued cross-examination of Mr. Goodwin. Go ahead, counsel.
Mr. Goodwin, you testified that you saw the actual shooting of Lauren Kanarek, correct?
Yes.
Did you previously tell Corporal Thomas Fellini that after you talked to Michael Barisone, you turned to walk back into the residence, then Lauren Kanarek walked over to speak to Michael Barisone?
Judge, can we come to sidebar?
Reword and clarify your questioning of the witness, please.
Mr. Mr. Goodwin, after the shooting, did you talk to the Washington Township Police Department?
I did.
Did you give them a statement right after the incident as to what actually happened?
I did give a statement.
Did you tell the Washington Township Police Department that after you spoke to Michael Barisone, you turned your back and walked into the house?
To walk back into the house. This is the problem, Mr. Blinkus. Why don't you show it to him and ask the witness if that's what he said to the police?
It says walk into the residence. That's why I said that.
All right, please proceed.
This is a good one. I'm going to show you Defense Exhibit 100C 14.6, which is an affidavit. I'm going to refer you to page 4 and point out a portion
It's big enough, thank you. Right.
and ask you to read that to see if it refreshes your recollection as to what you specifically told the police immediately after the incident.
Is this a transcript of the recorded?
It's an affidavit from the
I'm not
police.
familiar with
Okay.
what that means.
It's a sworn statement submitted by the police.
That is not accurate.
So is it your testimony that you never told the police immediately after the incident that after you talked to Michael Barisone, you walked into the residence and heard gunshots?
That doesn't say I walked into the residence, it says, what's important in that thing is that it says that I
That
did.
the witness not comment on what's contained in the police document. This isn't what we talked about.
Let me see you again at sidewalk. Move on, Mr. Blinkus.
Now, you observed Lauren Kanarek walking to Michael Barisone. Is that your testimony?
Correct.
And did you hear what Lauren Kanarek said to Michael Barisone?
She said she would talk to him, and as she was walking,
I'm asking what she said to him, not you.
I think she started to say something, and then Michael pulled the gun out and shot her.
Now, when you say he reached, weren't you
picked up-
still blocked by that huge bush and could only see from his chest up, as you've testified to?
So the other day, he stepped forward and reached out his arms before he shot Lauren. So, no.
Did you see him on the telephone?
Excuse me?
Did you see him on the telephone at any point?
No.
Did you see Michael Barisone's phone on a table in that general area at any point?
I saw a gun in Michael's hands, no phone.
And when did you see this gun?
When he pulled it up and shot Lauren.
Now, you said Michael Barisone's about 6'3", 6'4",
Correct.
and you were standing on the label. How far up on his body could you see him from that location?
I think chest up,
So from
maybe
about,
a little higher,
okay, so about from here to me?
somewhere about there, yeah.
And it's your testimony that he picked the weapon up high enough for you to see it over that bush and fire 2 shots into Lauren Kanarek?
As Lauren was approaching Michael to have this conversation that Michael said he wanted to have with us, he took a step forward towards Lauren, raised up his hands and shot. So his arms were to, you understand what I'm saying? He stepped out from behind the bush at that point. He took 1 step from behind the bush when he shot. He was aggressively, well, not aggressively, sorry. He took a step towards Lauren when he took the shot, when he raised up the gun.
All right, so let me see if I understand what you're saying. If you're on the porch, the bush is approximately, what, 8 feet away from where you're standing?
Well, yeah,
And it's as high as Michael Barisone's chest, correct?
correct.
Okay, and even though you're elevated, you only see from here up, correct?
Correct.
Now, it's your testimony from that position that Michael Barisone takes the step, what, to my right?
Towards the gravel driveway,
Okay,
towards Lauren where she was standing.
and raises his hand and shoots her.
Correct.
Now, how tall is Lauren Kanarek?
Five, 5'6".
Okay, well, can I assume he didn't raise the gun up this high to shoot at Lauren Kanarek over 5'5"?
I think that would be pretty accurate, yeah.
Okay, and he, and this is based on what you're testifying you saw, the gun was about where when he fired the shots that, like straight out from his arm as I'm holding it? Approximately 4 feet, correct? Approximately.
I'm sorry, what do you, it would,
How
are you saying?
high was his arm raised?
he raised his hand, he extended his arm.
And you could see that over the bush.
Do we have a picture? I'll show, he stepped 1 step forward out
One step forward out.
to the driveway,
To the
which
driveway.
was enough to be unconcealed by the bush 100%. And I don't know if that bush was there, if it would block his arms, because like I said, I definitely could see his shoulders. I saw his arms come up when he talked to me, when he came up to talk to me. So if he held his gun up, you know, I think it'd be pretty reasonable to say that I saw it still. If he stood in the exact same position he tried to lure us out of the house in from.
When you say lure us out of the house, you and both Lauren came out on your free will, correct?
I think he tried to pull us to his area. I came out to the porch. I did not want to conversate with him. I told him the attorneys will handle it. I believe his intention was to pull us out of the house.
I asked you, when you first observed Michael Barisone, if you would describe him as sorrowful. And you didn't even seem like you understood what I was asking. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, I did not recall it. I don't know, and also you were very vague about, was he sorrowful within the 2 years that I've ever met him? I had no contact.
No. I'm talking about
I didn't know that.
moments before the shooting. I'm talking about the day of the incident. Did you tell the police in your official version he looked really sorrowful? Page 4, bottom of the first paragraph.
Where's it at?
Page 4, bottom of the first paragraph. You need my glasses? Or?
No, I can see this. Bottom of the first paragraph.
Did you describe your observations of Michael Barisone immediately before the shooting as sorrowful?
It says here I did, and
Do you
as I-
recall that?
I don't recall saying this. No.
Is there any
I
doubt?
left this statement when Lauren was dying in the hospital. Well, when I thought Lauren was dying in the hospital, or possibly not alive.
Okay, and at that point, is it fair to say that you had no love lost for Michael Barisone and you weren't saying anything trying to protect him?
What is fair to say is I think this is consistent with what I'm saying is sincere, sorrowful. He tried to draw us out of the house to him so he could shoot us.
Did you say, I could only see from the chest and above, and he said something like, he looked really sorrowful, you know? What did you just say you believe that to mean?
He looked sincere in saying, how do we work this out? I personally did not care because
But my specific question is, did you use the term sorrowful?
it says right here, I said sorrowful. I agree.
So, will you agree with me that calm and sorrowful is a huge difference between angry?
I never said he was angry.
And would you agree with me that based on your entire observations, the entire incident, he never appeared angry, correct? Correct?
I believe we just went over this, yes.
Now, you just testified on, to my last question, that you observed Michael Barisone shoot Lauren Kanarek from the landing on top of the stairs, correct?
Correct. I was on the landing.
Did you tell the police in your official statement that before the shooting, you came down the stairs?
Came down the stairs from...
Before the shooting?
Yes, I was upstairs on the third floor apartment. I imagine I came down some stairs.
Can you look at page 3? Is it your testimony that your reference to the police that you came down the stairs, that you were talking about inside of the house at that point? Is that your sworn testimony?
I believe that's in reference to me coming down the stairs from the apartment.
Well, when you said Lauren walked down the stairs, where was she walking down the stairs in that specific sentence? Where was Lauren when you were walking down the stairs? Was she outside at that point?
She was behind me,
Well,
and then she
you
walked
agree
down
with
the
me
stairs.
that you told the police she walked down the stairs to talk to Barisone, and then 2 shots were fired. Isn't it a fact you were inside when the shots were fired?
Not at all a fact. It's ridiculous.
Now, how quickly were these shots fired in succession?
Very quickly, a stopwatch. Boom, boom.
Okay, and then
That's all.
how quickly after that was the shot you claimed was fired at you?
Took 2-3 more steps, turned to me and fired at me, so a couple of seconds.
Okay, so,
Some sort of a pause in between the two shots fired at Lauren. Little hesitation, maybe a pause, whatever you want to call it. Aimed at me and fired at me.
okay, boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
Now, were those shots loud?
Not overly, no. I don't think so. I mean, they were loud, yes, but
9mm, correct?
yeah, that'll be a reference question, right?
Well, you're familiar with 9mm. Was it a loud boom?
Wasn't as loud as Lauren's gun.
Did you tell the police that after he fired at Lauren, that you ran in the house? Did you tell the police that immediately after the incident?
Sorry, can you rephrase it? Or can you say it again?
Sure. Did you tell the police that after Lauren was shot, I kind of ran in the house? Did you say that?
I dove into in through the door as Michael raised the gun up at me.
Did you say I ran in the house again, a second time in your official statement?
I dove into the house. I remember seeing the tempered glass windows shattering around the floor as I was laying on the floor. So if I did it, maybe it was a misspeak. I'm sure throughout here we'll find more. Do I have a
Now-
minute to read this?
No, not, if I ask you a question and refer it, I'll refer you to a specific section. Now, you see Lauren get shot. Isn't it a fact that after she got shot, she ran away? And you have no idea where she went?
I did lose contact when I dove into the house of where she went, yes.
And did she run around the house based on your observations?
She ran away when after Michael shot at her, she turned around, ran away. Pretty shortly after, he raised the gun at me and I dove into the house, so I did not see if Lauren ran around the house.
Did you ever tell anyone that Lauren disappeared and you think she ran around the house?
I don't know what Lauren did after I dove in the house.
Well, you weren't in the house for any length of time, correct?
I dove on the floor and I got up and I charged out. At that time, Michael was charging in.
Okay, and was Lauren there in the immediate area at that point?
Lauren was there because on the conflict on the porch, when Michael brought the gun up and I had him in a chokehold, she grabbed his gun hand and tried to pull it down. I
Okay,
assume,
Go ahead.
I assume he was going to try to shoot at me over his head, over his shoulder. But Lauren jumped on his arm and held his gun hand.
Now, did you ever tell the police that Lauren Kanarek was up on the stairs grabbing at Michael Barisone's arm with a weapon in it in your official statement?
I would imagine I did say that.
Can you look at page 3, same paragraph I'm talking about, and see whether or not it refreshes your recollection as to whether you ever mentioned that Lauren Kanarek and you were on the stairs trying to get a gun away from Michael Barison.
Not in that paragraph, it does not say that.
When you say the paragraph, that's the paragraph when you talk about the actual shooting, correct?
The paragraph I just read.
And nowhere in there did you mention that Lauren Kanarek was on the steps struggling with you and
She
Michael.
wasn't on the steps. I
Where
said
was
she
she?
reached up, while me and Mike were on the steps, she was on the side of the railing. She reached up, tried to grab Michael's arm.
With her feet on the ground?
I think she could have been on the steps, she was behind Michael. She was,
Well, the
there
question
was
is-
me, Michael, Lauren. I saw Lauren jump up and grab his hands. I don't know exactly where she was standing.
Okay, but you testified previously she was on the steps, correct?
Judge, I'm not entirely sure that's accurate.
All right, I'll ask it again. Where exactly was Lauren Kanarek where you say she reached up and tried to grab Michael Barison?
She was on the would be Michael's front side on the other end of me and Michael. All I saw were her hands and that they were wrapped around his arm as he was trying to pull it up. She was trying to pull his arms down.
And again, I don't want to belabor this point anymore, but you don't know whether she's on the steps or she's on the ground.
I was concentrating on the gun that was coming up to my head.
Okay, and when you're talking about this specific instance, Michael Barison his back is to you, correct?
Correct.
Lauren Kanarek is in front of you, him, correct?
Correct.
And had you struck him in the head at this point?
Question, yes.
And did you knock him out with that punch?
No.
So, at some point in time, when the gun, according to you, is in Michael Barison's hand, both you and Lauren are struggling with him to try to get the gun, correct?
No. I was struggling to stop him from murdering us.
Okay, well, you saw the slide back and immediately recognized that the gun was empty before you leaped out and struck him according to your testimony, correct?
That is what I said.
So there was no danger of any other bullets being fired based on your observations of Michael Barison and the gun.
I don't know if I was able to process. I don't know if I was able to process what was going on. I was very unfamiliar with the gun. I did not, I did not know the full extent of processing it. I mean, I watched Lauren get shot, and yet I didn't realize she was shot until I saw the holes coming out of the back of her shirt. So it was a very stressful, fast time.
We'll get to that point in a second, but let's talk about something else first. You say you physically see, not here, but physically see Michael Barison shoot Lauren Kanarek, correct? And it's your testimony that with that observation, you didn't even realize that she was shot. Is that your testimony?
Correct.
Even though you claim to have seen a gun, heard the gun fire twice, you did not realize until after you started beating Michael Barison that he was shot, she was shot. Is that your testimony?
She did not, let me rephrase it this way. She did not fall on the ground after being shot. There is a possibility that maybe she was missed. We get those possibilities out of the way when I'm looking at holes coming through the back of her shirt. That is when I realized she was shot by Michael.
Now, you'll agree with me when you leaped at Michael Barison and cracked him in the face, that was the first punch that you landed.
Correct.
Now, didn't Michael Barison have his back to you at that point?
No, he was charging into the house and I was leaping out of the house.
When did he turn his back on you?
Well, after I punched him, he looked dazed for a little bit, and then out of nowhere just turned and went to go run off. I don't know if he was where he was running to. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was thinking. He turned around, and I don't know if he was retreating or what, but he turned around and gave me his back.
And where exactly on Michael Barison's face did you strike him?
think the forehead.
When he turned his back and attempted to get away, is that when you leaped on his back and started to choke him?
I'm sorry, I just said I don't know what he was doing, so I'm not saying that he attempted to get away.
Okay.
He could have been going to finish killing Lauren. There's nothing that states he was trying to get away. He was a man with a gun on our property, trying to kill us.
Okay.
I subdued him.
Okay, so at some point, irrespective of what his intentions are, he tries to
He turned
walk
around.
away from you, correct?
He turned around.
Turned around. And at that point, you jump on his back and you start choking him.
At that point, I threw a chokehold right on his neck.
And is he still on the stairs at this point?
We're either on the patio, I think we're right on the top, not the patio, sorry, the porch. The little porch, we're on the top of the porch at that point. Maybe one step down, I don't know. We're on the porch.
So you're on the landing or the first step going down? Okay, that's what your testimony is?
Yeah, pretty close to it, yeah.
So is it safe to assume that when you struck him in the forehead, he was on the landing?
That is correct.
Did he attempt to turn and walk away while he was still on the landing?
Turned around.
Okay, and started to walk down and only got to the first step, correct? According to what you just said.
I feel like we're having a play on words here. Say it again.
I just want to try to be accurate. You indicated he's on the landing and you hit him in the forehead. He turns around, he's still on the landing, and he's either on the landing or he's taking his first step down, and you jump on him and start choking him, correct?
Yeah, as soon as he turned around, I was on his neck.
Okay.
As soon as he turned around, you gotta remember, this is a fight for my life, Lauren's life.
Right.
So,
Okay.
as soon as he turned around, I tried to subdue him.
Okay, and where was Lauren at this point when he's at the top of the stairs trying to grab at the gun?
Next time I see Lauren is when the gun comes up, Lauren jumps on his arm to protect me. At that point, we don't know the gun is jammed or anything of the fact. And like I said, even seeing it, I did not recognize, it did not process in my head that that gun was no longer a weapon because the slide was locked back.
Didn't you tell the police that the reason why you decided to charge at Michael Barisone is because you saw that the slide was back and realized that the weapon had no bullets in it?
Please show me where that was set, anywhere.
We'll get to that. Now, when you were choking Michael Barisone, did he pass out?
He did.
And where's Lauren Kanarek at that point?
Lauren Kanarek is on the side of the stairs. Well, we're all grouped in one section. If you got a picture, it's easier if I just show you than explain.
Now, at this point in time, were you down on the concrete patio?
I was on top of Michael and we were both on the patio.
Did you slam Michael Barisone's face into the concrete patio?
He passed out, we fell onto the patio, onto the concrete patio.
At any point in time in the struggle, did you punch him in the face?
When Michael was coming back to, he was trying to get back up. I did punch him,
How many
and I did
times?
hold him down.
How many times did you punch Michael Barisone in the face?
I don't know. Enough to get him to not get access to the gun anymore.
Do you have any idea how many punches that took?
I mean, this is a fight for my life, so was I concerned about how many times I was punching the man that is trying to get up? I was not, and no, I do not know how many times I punched him in the face. The fact of the matter is, he was trying to get back up.
And did you punch him on the side of the head, in both ears?
Specifically, I do not know.
Have you seen any pictures of what Michael Barisone looked like after you got done punching him and hitting him?
I saw him on his first court hearing.
Now, at some point in time, did Lauren Kanarek start beating Michael on the side of the face with her telephone?
Lauren Kanarek may have hit him a few times. At that point, she was just about to pass out.
And it's your testimony?
did.
Go ahead.
I did want her to, want her to stay alive. I don't know if my focus was that she just maybe compress or hold the blood in. I would prefer that's what she would be doing.
Okay, but did she beat Michael Barisone for approximately 7 minutes
No,
during this incident?
no.
How many times did you see Lauren Kanarek hit Michael Barisone with her telephone in the ear and the cheek area?
A few times I've seen Lauren. She was also in the fight for her life. Okay? She hit him a few times, but at this point she was very, very close to passing out. And she couldn't even stand. So I do not believe there was any sort of damage done from her hitting. She may think she did some damage. You may imply that she did some damage, but at this point, she was almost dying.
Okay, incapable of walking around at this point, correct?
At this point, she was on the ground, yes.
Incapable of walking up the stairs and getting an object from the landing, correct?
We're talking about after I subdued Michael. Yes, you're implying before.
No,
Before,
I'm not implying before. Listen to my question. Your testimony, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that immediately after the shooting, you strike Michael, he turns his back, you choke him, you fall to the patio area, and you start to subdue him, correct?
that is correct.
And Lauren Kanarek is there the whole time, on her knees, correct?
From when I had Michael on the ground and we all fell
all
on the
fell
ground.
right
Yes,
down
she
from-
is right there with us.
She's right there with you, and she starts hitting her with the phone. You saw that, correct?
I just said that.
Okay. Do you know how she got her phone to hit Michael Barisone, which wasn't available to her at that point?
Yeah,
know she
Mr.
wasn't
Belinkus,
available?
don't editorialize,
Okay.
please. Just ask the question. Do you
Did
know?
you see?
Do you know?
I didn't understand.
I know, just re-ask the question, and don't editorialize, just ask a question,
Did you see
please.
Lauren Kanarek leave the area, walk up the stairs, grab her iPhone, come down, and then start beating Michael Barisone? She never left that area, correct?
At that point, like I stated, she was pretty
Dying.
much dying.
Okay, and can I assume that after that, you didn't see her go back up the stairs again and get a different phone and come down and call 911?
She had my phone from the minute I walked down the stairs from the apartment.
Correct,
So I gave it to her either.
Mr. Valenkus, again,
okay.
you know, we don't need your comments about the testimony, it's inappropriate.
Understood.
You don't say correct when a witness answers.
Right.
Don't do it again, please.
She had your phone when she came to talk to Michael Barisone, correct?
She definitely had my phone, yes.
And this whole shooting, the sequence of events, would be heard by the lawyer who was on the call, correct?
I assume yes.
And after you struck Michael and choked him, she was down on her knees, close to dying the entire time, correct?
From that point on, yes, till the police showed up.
You never saw her, and correct me if I'm wrong, her going up the stairs once or twice to get something.
No,
She wasn't even capable of doing that based on your observations of her medical condition, correct? Correct?
yes.
Now, did you see Lauren Kanarek running around in a circle at any point?
Assume we're talking about the incident. I do not recall her running in a circle. I recall her running away from Michael. And when I say run away, I saw a few steps before Michael aimed a gun at me and I dove inside, so.
At any point during this incident, did Michael Barisone say anything to you after your initial discussion with him?
No.
Now, when you were subduing Michael Barisone, did you tell the police that you didn't think he knew where he was at that point, or words to that effect?
After I punched him or after he was choked out?
After he was choked out?
After he, no, he was choked out, and then when he was coming back to consciousness is when he was moving around and trying to get up.
Anything further, Mr. Belinkus?
Yes, Judge, I'm just going over my notes. Did you tell the police immediately after this incident that you thought Michael Barisone had psychological problems?
Objection.
That was your...
Hold on, there's an objection, Mr. Belinkus. Let me see.
Mr. Goodwin,
The objection's sustained.
Mr. Goodwin, at any time during this incident, did you observe anything that would indicate that Michael Barisone was having psychological problems?
Objection. It's the same question in a different form.
Right, it was dressed up, but focusing on it, the question
Right.
is not, we know you're not an expert. All right, so counsel's just asking what observations you made about the defendant.
I'm not really too sure how to answer the question.
All right, ask another question, Mr. Belinkus.
Now, with regards to your observations of Michael before the shooting, you've already testified that he was calm and sorrowful. Would you also describe him as sincere when he said, "How could we end this"?
My first impression was, yes, it was a sincere gesture. I couldn't tell you if he was sincere or if he was just trying to lure us out of the house.
Okay, and he mentions the term war, correct?
He did.
And were you aware, and did you personally see Lauren Kanarek's
Well,
constant...
it's a compound question.
Okay. Did you see Lauren Kanarek's use of the term going to war numerous times throughout the last 2 or 3 weeks leading up to the incident?
I have no context to it, nor do I remember specifically anything you're talking about.
Now, did your dog attack Michael Barisone?
When we were on the concrete patio, the dog got out because I didn't have time to close the door as I was trying to control the situation. So yes, at some point, I noticed Rosie when me and Michael are tied up on the ground and I'm subduing him.
Did you see Rosie biting Michael Barisone?
I believe Rosie bit me as well.
Did you see Rosie bite Michael Barisone?
I did.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Did you see Rosie bite Michael Barisone in his inner groin area next to his genitals?
He was face down, so I couldn't imagine how that would happen, but
Now, did you break Michael's arm?
I did.
Did Michael pass out at any point in time during this beating?
So
I
Michael,
mean, in addition to what he already testified about? When he put him in the chokehold, you meaning after that point
After
in
that.
time? So
after
after the chokehold,
No.
he's asking.
Were you aware that Ruth Cox had a gun at the facility?
No.
Now, Mr. Goodwin, the day before the shooting, when the townspeople were there, at some point, did you take your finger and form it into a pistol, pretend like you pulled the trigger, and mouth the words to Michael Barisone, "Get ready"?
Not at all.
I'm going to show you a series of pictures, 800. $852 to $865. It's the same or different? Okay. I'm going to show you these
Can I
photographs.
see what the witness is being shown?
Just be careful when you view those, Mr. Shellhorn.
Judge, I think the witness has already said that he's seen no pictures of the defendant after this all happened, so I'm not sure what the relevance.
Let me see it.
Kanarek,
That objection was sustained. Ask something else, Mr. Belinkus, please.
Mr. Goodwin, after the police arrived, you had an opportunity to see Michael Barisone there, correct?
I don't know what capacity you're talking about. I did see him there after the incident, yes.
And would you agree with me that his face was filled with blood?
I think I was more concerned with what Lauren was
I understand that.
doing.
But with regards to your observations of Michael Barisone, would you agree that his arm looked deformed? Did you see that?
I don't know how he looked after. I did see him. I did not assess him, is I think what you're asking for, an assessment of what I thought of Michael after the incident.
Okay.
I assessed Lauren.
My last question. The week leading up to this incident, things were extremely toxic, correct?
They were tense.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why on August 3rd, 2019, you were searching Mary Haskell's
Objection, Judge.
11-year-old
Objection,
daughter?
Judge. Objection.
Mr. Belinkus. You have anything else, Mr. Belinkus?
No, Judge.
How long's your redirect?
I think it will be before the lunch break, Judge,
All right.
if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. We'll get it done. Redirect.
Mr. Goodwin, you were asked questions about when the township officials came to the property. Did you meet with any of the township officials?
I recall talking to them when I dropped the paperwork off at the clerk's office.
But I'm asking specifically when they came to the property, did you speak to them at all?
I don't believe I interacted with them.
Were you at the barn at any point when they were at the barn?
I wasn't.
Were you in the area where Michael Barison was?
I was in the barns along the aisle.
Now, I just wanted to ask you a few questions about your statement. Do you still have that in front of you?
I do.
And I believe that's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 100E5.
Correct.
That's the statement that Mr. Belinkus referred to as your official version of the events?
Correct.
Now, he asked you at some point whether you heard the shots against Lauren or saw the shots against Lauren.
Yes.
Do you remember what you testified to on direct yesterday?
That I saw Michael shoot Lauren.
And I'm going to direct your attention to page 30. About halfway down the page. Do you see a line that says SG? So
SG in the midway, yes. Just one, yes.
and it says SG. Is that Detective Sasha Gould?
I just choose one of the detectives I talked with.
And it says, she asked you, so you see him take the gun out, you see him actually firing at Lauren. And your response is yes?
Correct.
So you told that to the police on August 7th, 2019.
Yes.
Does it sound familiar that this statement began at approximately 5:09 that afternoon?
I wouldn't know what time it was.
And if I direct your attention to page 1. If you look at the last paragraph on page 1, does that refresh your memory of approximately what time that statement began?
I don't think it's that inaccurate.
Do you remember approximately what time the shooting happened?
2 o'clock.
So you gave a statement to the police that was recorded at the police station approximately 2 hours after the shooting.
Correct.
3 hours, I'm sorry.
3.
My math is off. Now, you were also asked questions about whether you had walked down the stairs and off the porch. Do you remember that question?
Yes, I very vividly.
And I think Mr. Belinkis asked you, did you step off of the porch and down onto the patio area?
I think Mr. Blinkus was confused about the.
All right, hold on. Don't opine on
Just yes
Mr.
or no.
Belinkis' state of mind,
Sure.
all right? Just answer the question, please. Thank you.
So my question was, do you remember the question about whether you stepped off the porch onto the patio area?
I do.
And what was your answer to that question?
No.
Now, I'm going to direct your attention to, I believe, page 28. And down at the bottom of page 28, where you asked questions about when Lauren came to get you.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Page 28
Page 28 at the bottom.
at the bottom. What am I looking at?
Does it say, Detective Sasha Gould asked, where are you actually? Are you still on in the house, or you're on the porch now at this point? And did you respond, I was in the house, I came down the stairs, I think I handed off the phone to Lauren, because unintelligible on the phone with the attorney. I walked outside and he said, how could we end this? Looking really sincere. I mean, she said on the front porch, and you said, yeah.
It's accurate.
So you told the police on August 7th, 2019, that you were on the porch while you were talking to Michael Barison.
Correct.
And I think the last thing I wanted to clear up was the question about whether you went into the house or stayed on the porch at the time of the shooting. Do you remember that series of questions?
Yes.
And specifically on page, for example, three,
Page 3.
page 3.
Okay.
In the beginning, probably the fifth line down of that second main paragraph, is that a paragraph of your statements to the police? That's you speaking? It says RG in the left-hand side.
Yeah, I'm just trying to read it real quick.
I'm going to direct you to where
Oh.
you need to read. I'm just asking.
Yeah,
you.
that's my paragraph.
So that's you speaking there, right?
Yes.
And about the fifth line down, do you see on the left column where it says shot at me?
Yes.
Does it say shot at me? I kind of ran in the house, and then he started coming in as well. I didn't run. I didn't run in the house, just, because the incident was going on. I didn't know what to do. I ducked in the house, and then I realized, what the hell am I doing? And I kind of turned around.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
So did you actually go inside the house or not?
I dove in the house.
How far into the house did you go?
It was a very small room. I dove far enough. I felt like I was protected from the shots being fired at me. I just wanted to get behind cover.
No further questions, Judge.
All right, thank you.
And Mr. Goodwin, did you also say on page 30, I think she ran around the house?
That's Mr. Belinkis, that's not.
I didn't
Is
ask
that-
anything about that.
Yeah, that's not a recross question, and it has to be in response to what was brought up on redirect. Do you have any questions about what Mr. Shellhorn brought up?
No.
All right. All right, you may step down, thank you.
Me? Done?
Please don't discuss the case with anyone in case you have to be recalled. Thank you. All right, members of the jury, we're going to take our luncheon recess now. Hold on. I know you're all anxious. I am too. But I just want to get back to that issue about jurors hearing whispering. Can I see by a show of hands the jurors in the gallery who may have previously heard some whispering? All right. We have 2 jurors. Okay, very good. I'm just going to ask you two to remain in place, if you would, because I just want to speak to you a little bit further with the attorneys, okay? The rest of the jurors, you can go enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you around 1:30 this afternoon. We have some more witnesses that the state will call. Thank you. Can you go out and tell them to cut the feed? I don't want any of this being sent out anywhere. And just confirm for me that it's been cut.